What if I told you the guy everyone thought was just a goofy, party-loving jock turned out to be one of the most unstoppable forces in football history? A man who could crush defenders like rag dolls, break NFL records, and still show up to practice after staying out until sunrise, only to dominate anyway. This isn't just the story of talent, it's the story of how the dumbest player in the league outsmarted everyone. Before Rob Gronkowski was spiking footballs in the end zone and collecting Super Bowl rings, he was just a kid growing up in the suburbs of Buffalo, in a house where chaos was part of the daily routine. With 4 brothers, all sports-obsessed and fiercely competitive, it wasn't a matter of if they'd fight, it was when. And if they weren't throwing punches, they were slamming each other into the walls playing mini-sticks hockey in the basement. His dad, a former college football player, saw potential in his boys, but made one thing clear. If they wanted to be great, they had to put in the work. So he built a home gym, and that's where the Gronkowski brothers turned competition into a lifestyle, pushing each other until someone gave in or the weights dropped to the floor. Rob didn't even start playing tackle football until 7th grade, but when he finally strapped on the pads and lined up as a tight end, something clicked. On his very first play, he charged at a linebacker with zero hesitation and leveled him. That was the moment Gronk knew. This was his game, and he was going to own it. But what came next? Let's just say his rise to football stardom was far from a straight line. By high school, Rob wasn't just big, he was huge. Towering over his classmates, he was a 3-sport athlete who could dunk on you in basketball, blast home runs in baseball, and bulldoze defenders in football. Scouts started taking notice during his junior year when he racked up 648 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. But right before his senior season, life threw him a curveball. His parents split, and he moved to Pittsburgh. Transfer rules nearly kept him off the field, and even when he did play, his numbers dipped. Most players would have seen their recruitment fade, but not Gronk. He still landed over 60 scholarship offers from powerhouse programs like Ohio State and Clemson. And then, true to his unpredictable style, he picked Arizona. Why? His answer to his dad was simple. If you ever went to a pool party at Arizona, you'd understand. Once on campus, he made an instant impact, setting a school record for tight end receiving yards as a freshman and following it up with an even better sophomore year. NFL scouts were already watching him closely, but just as he was on the verge of a first-round destiny, disaster struck. And the injury he suffered wasn't just a setback. It nearly ended his career before it even began. Right before his junior season, Gronk started feeling a sharp burning pain shoot down his legs. At first, he tried to push through it, typical Gronk mentality, but the pain kept getting worse until his legs felt like they weighed 500 pounds each. The diagnosis? A ruptured disc and nerve damage in his back. For a football player, especially one built on size and explosive power, that was a nightmare. 7 months before the NFL draft, he went under the knife for a major surgery. He missed the entire season, and suddenly the can't-miss prospect became a giant question mark. NFL teams weren't sure if he'd ever be the same. When the Patriots brought him in for a pre-draft visit, things didn't exactly scream future Hall of Famer. Coaches walked into the meeting room to find him asleep on the floor. When quizzed about a play they'd just drawn on the whiteboard, Gronk shrugged and said, "I have no idea. You just throw me the ball and I'll run some people over." But even with all the red flags, one team saw the upside and was willing to gamble on a guy everyone else thought was too big of a risk. That gamble? It would change the NFL forever. In the 2010 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots traded up to grab Gronk with the 42nd overall pick, a move that raised eyebrows across the league. This was the same party boy who'd fallen asleep during their visit, and now he was walking into one of the most disciplined organizations in football. From day one, it was clear things wouldn't be easy. The first time he joined Tom Brady in the huddle, the play call came so fast he had no idea where to line up. For the first half of his rookie season, Gronk barely saw the field, getting just 15 to 20 snaps a game. The playbook felt like a foreign language. But then, around mid-season, something clicked. In Week 10 against the Steelers, he caught 3 touchdowns, becoming the youngest rookie tight end in NFL history to pull it off. The defining moment came a month later. Late in a tight game, Brady called a play the coaches had drilled into Gronk all week. It was one-on-one against one of the league's best linebackers, and this was it, his chance to prove he belonged. He boxed out perfectly, made the grab, and scored. From that point on, Brady trusted him completely. By the end of the year, Gronk had 10 touchdowns, the most by a rookie tight end since the AFL-NFL merger. The raw, goofy kid label was fading fast, but no one could have predicted what he was about to do in year 2. If his rookie year hinted at greatness, his second season screamed it. In 2011, at just 22 years old, Rob Gronkowski became the most dominant tight end in football, and it wasn't even close. Through the first 3 games alone, he racked up 281 yards and 5 touchdowns. At 6 feet 6 inches and 265 pounds, defenders simply bounced off him. If they didn't, he'd just drag them down the field like human luggage. In Week 13, he broke the NFL's single-season touchdown record for tight ends, and by season's end, he'd set 2 more marks. The most yards, 1,327, and most total touchdowns, 18, ever by a tight end. His 17 receiving scores weren't just historic for his position, they led the entire league. And while his highlight reel catches made headlines, his blocking was just as lethal. Gronk could stonewall elite pass rushers, giving him an edge most modern tight ends lacked. Off the field, he was just as unique, always smiling, always loose, treating high-stakes games like backyard football. That carefree approach was his secret weapon. He thrived under pressure because he didn't feel it. The Patriots stormed into the playoffs, and Gronk kept rolling, torching the Broncos with 145 yards and 3 touchdowns. They made it all the way to the Super Bowl. But one twist of fate would turn the biggest night of his life into one of his most painful. The Patriots were on the biggest stage, and Gronk was at the peak of his powers, until disaster struck in the AFC Championship game. A high ankle sprain put his Super Bowl status in jeopardy. For most players, it would have meant sitting out, but this was the Lombardi Trophy on the line. Gronk suited up even though every step hurt. From the opening snap, it was clear he wasn't himself. His cuts were slower, his burst was gone, and the pain showed. Still, when the game came down to the final seconds, he had one last shot. A tipped Hail Mary floated his way, but he couldn't get there in time. The ball hit the turf, the game was over, and the Patriots had lost. If that wasn't enough, the headlines the next day weren't about his injury. They were about him being spotted dancing at a post-game party, bad ankle and all. Critics called him immature, but Gronk didn't care. As he later put it, "Why would I sulk all night when I get to be with my brothers?" The Patriots responded in their own way by giving him the biggest contract ever for a tight end. 6 years, $54 million. Gronk's reign was far from over, but the injuries were just beginning to pile up. Fresh off his record deal, Gronk started the 2012 season on another tear. 748 yards and 10 touchdowns in just 10 games. Then Week 11 hit. A broken arm sidelined him, but when he finally returned for the playoffs, disaster struck again. Same arm, re-broken. That meant season-ending surgery, and it didn't stop there. In the offseason, his arm developed an infection, forcing not 1, not 2, but 4 surgeries. Just when he healed from that nightmare, another familiar problem resurfaced: his back. A herniated disc sent him back under the knife before the next season even began. When he finally returned in Week 7 of 2013, it looked like the old Gronk was back. He was averaging nearly 100 yards a game until Week 14, when a low hit destroyed his knee. Torn ACL, torn MCL, and a concussion so bad he didn't even recognize his own father in the locker room. Many thought this was it. Too many injuries, too much punishment for one body to take. Even Gronk wondered if he could come back. But then a trip to a children's hospital changed everything. Seeing kids fight through battles far tougher than his own lit a fire in him. If they could push through, so could he. What followed wasn't just a comeback. It was a reminder of why you could never count Rob Gronkowski out. The Patriots eased Gronk back into action in 2014, limiting his snaps early in the season. But by Week 8, the leash was off, and the old Gronk was back. Against the Bears, he exploded for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns, dragging defenders down the field like they were made of paper. From there, he was unstoppable, finishing the year with 1,124 yards, 12 touchdowns, and the Comeback Player of the Year award. That season ended with redemption. In the Super Bowl against Seattle's Legion of Boom, Gronk snagged 6 passes, including a crucial touchdown, helping the Patriots capture their first title in a decade. The next year, he didn't slow down, posting over 1,100 yards and 10 scores, and once again dominating in the playoffs, even though the Patriots fell short in the AFC Championship game. But 2016 brought more injuries. Hamstring issues, then another back surgery that ended his season. Still, the Patriots won it all, giving Gronk his second ring. And in 2017, fully healthy again, he reminded everyone why he was in a league of his own. 1,084 yards, 8 touchdowns, and a monster Super Bowl performance with 116 yards and 2 scores. But in true Gronk fashion, the offseason would bring yet another twist, one that almost sent him to a team he had no intention of playing for. Rob Gronkowski's career wasn't just about stats, rings, or highlight reels. It was about rewriting what a tight end could be. He wasn't built to fit into the NFL's polished, buttoned-up image. He laughed too loud, partied too hard, and played like a runaway freight train. But behind the goofy smile was a relentless competitor with the kind of toughness you can't coach. Through broken bones, shredded knees, and surgeries that would have ended most careers, Gronk kept coming back, stronger, louder, and somehow still having fun. He could block like a lineman, run like a wideout, and dominate games in a way no one at his position ever had before. When he finally walked away for good, he left as one of the most decorated and feared tight ends in history. And maybe that's the biggest lesson from his story. You don't have to fit the mold to be great. Sometimes being yourself is the ultimate advantage. Because there will never be another Rob Gronkowski. And honestly, the NFL wouldn't survive too.